other.
Over 800 islands dot Britain's coastline. Some of the most spectacular can be found off Scotland. These islands have been a sacred destination for centuries. Christian missionaries arrived here 1,500 years ago to spread a new faith. And amid this breathtaking beauty, their legacy still lingers today. My name is Ben Fogle. Over 2 decades ago, I was marooned on a remote Scottish island for a year for a TV show called Castaway. Like those early pilgrims, I have a deep connection to these islands and their religious and spiritual heritage. This is so peaceful. In this series, I'm setting out to explore how sacred traditions still survive in island communities today.
Islands just have a special spiritual energy.
And experience the power of these landscapes to inspire wonderment and faith.
I just know that I can walk along the beach and feel the presence of God.
My journey this time will take me through the southern islands of the Inner Hebrides.
This is a pretty dramatic landscape. This is my kind of landscape.
Where I'll find wisdom in a very unexpected place.
I think this is the deepest conversation I've ever had in a tuk-tuk.
I'll discover a uniquely island spirit.
There's a wee bit of strength in most island people, you know, there's a hardness in them that can stand a lot.
And experience the places that have inspired people for centuries.
This is my spiritual home. I mean, look at it. You've got to be inspired by it, haven't you?
Join me on an epic pilgrimage across 12 of Scotland's magical, sacred islands. I'm beginning my journey at Fogle on the Mull of Kintyre. It's already been a 3-hour drive from central Scotland to get here, and now I'm boarding a small passenger ferry to take me to my island destination. Travelling down the length of Loch Sween, it will take me an hour and a half by water to reach my first stop, Islay. It's the southernmost island of the Hebridean chain. I'll then hop across to nearby Jura before heading north to the uninhabited isles of the Garvalax.
The thing I love about island hopping is that you're forced to slow down and keep a lookout. Apparently there's minke whales, so I'm hoping I'm going to catch a glimpse.
My route from Kintyre is inspired by the Irish saints who landed there in the 6th century. Islay and Jura were at the crossroads between Ireland and Scotland, where cultures met and new faiths arrived. They became the stepping stones from which to spread Christianity throughout Scotland's isles.
So I'm just arriving on Islay. It's been quite a journey, to be honest. You have to put in a lot of effort to get here. And I'm wondering how that molds and shapes the people that live here.
Islay is the 5th largest of Scotland's islands and home to around 3,000 people. It's best known for the whisky that's made here, having been introduced by Irish monks 700 years ago. Today, you'll find more distilleries than churches. As I follow the trail of those early missionaries, I want to understand what brought them here and how their legacy is reflected today. My first stop is to the far west side of the island, and to its most beautiful beach, Machair Bay. The locals prefer to call it Kilcommon Beach, in honour of St. Common, who arrived here from Ireland in the 6th century to establish one of the island's first churches. He sailed the 30 miles or so across those open waters in nothing more than a boat made from animal skins. The monks were highly skilled seafarers, but it's said that some cast off without oars, putting themselves at the mercy of God.
I've always found it quite difficult to relate to those pilgrims coming across from Ireland. But when you're standing on the beach and you're looking at that horizon, I can't help but feel more of a connection. They were the adventurers, the explorers of their time. And I'm hoping that by coming to these islands, I'll get a sense of their pioneering journey that still exists in the islands today. I don't think they had weather like this.
The pilgrimage across the desert of the sea was part of a long Christian tradition of leaving the material world and home comforts behind to lead a more basic life, closer to nature and God. I wonder what they thought of Islay, seeing this wild and foreign land for the first time. To get my own bearings, I'm heading inland and upwards, or at least as much as I can on an island that's more moorland than mountain. Today is Sunday, when the island falls a little quieter, offering me the chance to explore. I've been offered a tour of the roads less travelled by a man who knows the island well.
Jump in, right? We're off.
I was warned not to bring too much baggage. Originally from Glasgow, Callum runs tuk-tuk tours for visitors and so-called whiskey pilgrims who come to experience the island and its 9 famous distilleries.
Callum, I wasn't expecting to be picked up in a tuk-tuk. Where did the idea come from?
2018, I was in Sri Lanka, and I was kind of looking at the quality of the roads and thought, you know, quite a lot of the roads on Islay Jura are in a worse condition, and I bet tuk-tuks would do really well. And I was right, they're brilliant for missing potholes, which there are plenty of here. But it seems to make people quite happy. Everybody smiles and waves when they see the tuk-tuk.
You can't help but smile in a tuk-tuk, can you?
No, you can't.
Wow. This is incredible, isn't it? This is wild.
It's pure wilderness.
It really is.
It's one of my favourite roads, the Glen Road. Takes you to the sort of highest vantage point by road on Islay.
As well as driving the tuk-tuk, Callum has a background in social work and mental health care.
There might be an assumption that mental health workers aren't necessary on islands, but I suppose everyone struggles wherever they are.
Absolutely, Ben. I think that's a real common assumption that's made about places of beauty. You know, why would anybody feel depressed or you're lonely or sad or have any sort of mental health problems? And the reality is, as long as there are people, there will always be social problems.
One of the parts of my journey, Callum, is trying to understand maybe why faith has always been so important for islanders.
I think the church have provided a lot of emotional and financial support for people over the years, and a lot of guidance and counselling in some respects as well. I have had my own thoughts about the increase in mental health difficulties for many years now, and actually thinking about the decline in belief about how the country has become much more secular. And, you know, did it make a difference when people had something to believe in?
So I understand what you're saying. Perhaps one of the reasons in the increase in mental health difficulties for people is that there isn't a common unifying belief or something common that we can all share.
Yeah, we've all become quite fragmented and disconnected from each other. And yet churches were a way of bringing people together and finding commonalities and shared causes. And I think in smaller places like Islay, there is still a prevalence of goodwill that's shown through community groups. But it's quite difficult to take that into a modern age.
I think this is the deepest conversation I've ever had in a tuk-tuk. It's like our Sunday service, isn't it?
It's a compelling thought that a community sharing a common belief or cause might bring us individual benefits. But the shared causes of island life needn't be necessarily religious. As I explore Islay, I'm keen to discover the other forms of community that are so important to the quality of life here. The Glen Road has taken me north to an area of the island popular with visitors who want to enjoy its beautiful landscapes. Ballygrant Loch is a pleasure spot known for its bike trails and boating during the summer tourist season.
Oh wow, look at these. Got it.
There we go.
On the shores of the loch this morning, a unique event is starting. It's the first activity day of its kind on Islay. It's being run by Sidekick, a new fledgling charity that supports people with disabilities on Islay and neighbouring Jura. Their aim is to help those of all abilities to enjoy the landscapes of the island that many of us take for granted. David and his dad Charlie are the first islanders to use these specialist dual-control bikes. Costing £10,000 each, the bikes have been borrowed from the mainland as a way for some of the islanders to get out and about in the nature around them. I asked Charlie why today is important for them.
David's 25 now and he's on the autistic spectrum, so it's been really great getting him out here today, and kids like David, well, he's not a kid now, but young adults, and they get sort of forgotten about once they leave school and they sort of slip through the net and they can become quite socially isolated. So this starting up's a good thing, really. It's about the social interactions and getting them out and socialising and enjoying life.
If Sidekick didn't exist, do you think you would be doing stuff like this with David?
No, very unlikely. You know, we would need to take him away off the island or that, so it's good that we can do that here on the island.
Some young people with disabilities here can struggle to leave their own village, let alone leave the island. So having an opportunity like this can be truly transformative.
Hey Stuart.
Hey.
How are you doing?
No bad.
Nice to meet you. How are you feeling?
A bit nervous, but all right now.
Today is a very special day for Stuart. All these islanders have come together to support him in his dream to get out on the water. Something that, as a wheelchair user who's unable to live independently, has seemed almost impossible to him until now.
Have you been on a boat before?
No, no, we bought this. No,
This is the first. This is the first.
Yeah, that's the first
I'm
time.
so excited for you.
Yeah, one. Oh,
You are now on board.
really?
Yeah.
Together with an instructor, we're going paddleboarding.
You feel the movement in the water?
Yeah.
Helmet on first.
Stuart loves the outdoors and was once a keen cyclist before an accident left him unable to use a bike. Today is not only his first time out on the water, but also the first time in a long while that he's left his village.
How's it feeling now?
It's great, thanks.
Does it feel good? Can you feel the
Fantastic.
movement of the...
Oh, fantastic.
That's the beauty of one of these boards. You can feel the water kind of bubbling up.
It's first
through
time, happened to me. It is great. makes you more relaxed.
Does it?
Makes you more confident. It's quite very good.
Does this, for you, kind of feel like freedom again?
The freedom, yes, that's right. It's just different freedom. Different environment is quite good, and I feel more relaxed now. And the sun's shining. It's very fantastic, thanks, aye.
The island has never had an event like this before, so it's being supported by Steve, who runs a similar organisation on the mainland. As well as his skills and knowledge, he's sharing equipment like this super-sized adapted paddleboard, which can easily fit most wheelchairs. His aim is to ensure this becomes a regular event, not just a one-off.
Stephen, why do you do this? What do you get out of this?
Basically, I look upon it, anything I can do, sure, and anybody with disabilities, mental health issues, should be able to do too, regardless, doesn't matter. If you think people come to Isla, including myself, will come to Isla to do water activity and paddleboarding and camp even and stuff like that, you should be able to do that on your own island. You know what I mean? So it's not just for tourists. You've got this all year round. It's fantastic. There we are.
Oh, that's good.
We have landed.
Stuart, David, and others living with disabilities on Isla might never have had experiences like this without the support and belief of their fellow islanders. Gillian, the charity's founder, sums up what today means.
Just want to allow people to enjoy more where they live and give them positive experiences. Everybody's capable of something in life. It doesn't necessarily need to affect you directly, but it's your friends, your neighbours, and you want people to have good opportunities.
So I'm wondering if you can define someone from Isla, what character traits you have.
Kindness. It's a sense of the community, probably, yeah.
Can't ask for more than that. What I experienced today is the beauty of community. That moment on the loch wasn't just for Stuart, that was for me and the whole charity. And that's what community is about, isn't it? It's about sharing those experiences. When I asked Gillian to describe the island spirit, she said a kind community. And that is exactly what I experienced today, a kind community.
This is the power of community belief that I talked about with Callum. I find it incredibly hopeful that it can be found outside religious settings too. I wonder if that sense of doing the right thing is made stronger by being in a small island community. And if so, is it something an islander takes with them if they leave? On the shores of Loch Indal lies Isla's main village, Bowmore. At its centre lies Killaroo Church. I'm told it's round, so the devil can't hide in the corners. In the graveyard is a memorial to a man whose faith compelled him to extraordinary bravery during the dark days of World War II. Donald Caskey was born in Bowmore in 1902 to a crofting family. He trained as a Church of Scotland minister and moved to Paris, where in 1938 he began serving a Scottish expat congregation. Caskey was still there when Germany invaded in 1940. But instead of fleeing back to Britain, he stayed and at great risk embarked on a personal campaign against the evils of Nazism. Medals awarded to Caskey are displayed in the church, hinting at his heroics. Caskey's nephew Gordon wants to share one of his stories with me.
Your Uncle Donald was quite an astonishing man. When did you first become aware of this? Did he tell you the story?
He never talked about his war adventures at all. You know, that was taboo to him. He was an easygoing chap, and, you know, my father used to tell me that when he went to the moss to cut peats or went out to make hay or anything like that, all his brothers took a shovel, a spade, a fork or something, and Uncle Donald took a comb. So the family thought, well, it's no use for the croft. You know, what are we going to do with him? The money was found to send him to university to become a minister because, as you realise, all the folk were very religious in these days. So Uncle Donald became a minister. Then he went to Paris, and he turned out to be a different kettle of fish himself. You know, he turned out to be one of the finest heroes that were ever in the Second World War.
In wartime France, Kasky led a double life. As a man of God, he set up a mission house which secretly was a hideout for escaped prisoners of war. Kasky provided civilian clothes and forged papers for the soldiers and arranged for them to be smuggled safely home. He would claim that his native gumption and faith were his greatest assets.
One of the astonishing things about your uncle, though, that he was he came from farming family here on this remote island, quiet part of Scotland, and went off to be part of this extraordinary mission, this extraordinary rescue.
Yes.
What do you think the other islanders thought about it? Did they ever talk to you?
He got a wee bit of gratitude out of being thanked for what he'd done, but it didn't make any difference to him. He was still the same quiet wee man. There's a wee bit of strength in most island people. You know, their parents and grandparents have come through when they had nothing, and there's a hardness in them that can stand a lot.
Once Kasky got a group away, he would simply send a list of names to the Church of Scotland offices. Officials there also received anxious letters from the families of missing servicemen. Kasky's information was passed on to inform the families their loved ones were safe.
He had correspondence from parents of children that were missing.
And
the church was used as a way of communicating.
That's right, until the Germans twigged what was going on.
Eventually, the Gestapo took notice. Kasky was arrested, but narrowly avoided execution thanks to the intervention of a German pastor, and spent the rest of the war as a POW. But by then, he'd helped nearly 2,000 servicemen escape.
This one is, "Dear sir, you have a grateful mother's thanks and prayers for the good of your cause, and I thank you for a Scots minister in Marseille." That was your uncle. "Your letter was a godsend and my first comfort since hearing of my boy being missing since the night of June the 9th. And I know that all the other mothers will feel as I do." So they were so grateful for him. Proud of him?
Very, very proud of him. Why shouldn't you be? The whole family are proud of him. Huh? Good lad.
What an amazing man.
Aye.
A soldier Kasky saved later wrote of him, "Evil in war produces heroes, and Donald Kasky is one of these." And to this day, the island still remembers the heroic deed of one of their own, so far from home. Heading north on the winding road towards the Sound of Islay takes me to the sleepy village of Port Ascaig, Islay's smallest. It's home to the RNLI and is where the island's emergency volunteers will muster day or night to save lives at sea. To understand what makes people volunteer to risk their lives for others, I'm heading out with the crew. Cara McKechnie is helping me get my bearings. She's Scotland's only serving female coxswain of an all-weather lifeboat.
Just head for the distillery, see Arnaho Distillery?
Yeah.
Just there.
I love that I get to navigate by distilleries. There's not many places in the world you can do that.
Cara volunteered at just 17 years old, joining the crew before she'd even passed her driving test. I wonder why.
Someone who lives on Islay is called an Iliac?
An Iliac.
In Iliac?
Iliac, yep.
What does it mean to be an Iliac?
I think being an Iliac here is, as I say, I think with a lot of islands there is a real sense of community, all looking out for one another. I would say we are very adaptable as well, kind of being kind of remote here on the island. But yeah, it's just looking out for one another.
Is that why you do it?
Absolutely, yeah. Just to try and make a difference, try and help. That's what we're all about, is saving lives at sea. So, what more can you ask for, really? I do like today.
I'm very glad you've turned the weather on for me, or turned the weather off.
The calm waters we have today aren't typical for Islay. The seas here are as treacherous now as the days when the Irish pilgrims sailed them in tiny rudimentary boats. 341 shipwrecks litter the seabed below us. At times, this RNLI crew have grappled force 9 winds and 6-metre swells in rescues that lasted up to 18 hours. To get a better sense of the skill involved in this life-saving work, I'm assisting in a sector search, as if we're looking for casualties.
What's our course?
We're starting, I want 360 at 15 knots.
10, 30.
The coxswain counts down to the sharp turns I have to make. Good teamwork is vital. Different search methods are used for different environments. Here, we're making a series of triangles to search a large area from the centre of a possible casualty sighting. We'll keep going clockwise until we find our target. It might look easy, but it isn't. And I'm not trying to do it in 6-metre swells.
I'm all over the place.
Staying for more.
Yeah. So I won't hit land. It's going not too bad, Ben.
Nice, neat triangles. That's what we want. I'll give my crew registration form when he gets in.
Great. Yeah, thanks very much.
This first-class training is vital to the crew's success. 9 out of 10 RNLI volunteers have no maritime experience before they join. Derek is a shepherd, but is also part of the crew responsible for saving people at sea over the past few years. I'm curious as to how he started.
This is a voluntary job.
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
Hey, I'll be honest, I was in a bar one night and one of the crew said you should join. And
Did he club you over the head as well?
Wasn't quite that bad. There was rum involved, but he did say, "Do you fancy joining the crew?" And I was like, "I'm from Central Highlands. I was never on a boat until I come on the ferry to here." And just thought, oh, well, let's give it a go. There's no reason to say no for these things.
Do you think you have an even greater respect for the ocean around you?
Yeah. Like we've seen how it can change in a heartbeat. You can feel like a toy really quickly on the worst weather. We've all been hanging on and buckled in and not sure how the next stage is going to go, but you switch on to doing a job, the whole kind of fear goes out because you're focused on that role at that time. Then the satisfaction at the end is getting back to station. Then you kind of think about it. That's actually the hardest point.
There's something very selfless about putting your own life at risk to go and help others. And, you know, if we now put that into the context of the spirituality of these islands and those early pilgrims and missionaries that were out here, that's kind of what they were doing. They were putting their own lives at risk. You have to respect people that were willing to put their lives on the line for what they believed in. And the Karas of this world believe in saving lives at sea.
My time on Islay has given me a deeper understanding of the community island spirit that can have a reach far beyond its shores. Now, the unmistakable mountains known as the Paps have drawn my eye across the water to Jura. Known as the Wilderness Isle, I wonder how faith and community differ from neighbouring Islay. Just 500 metres across the Sound of Islay, this is one of Britain's shortest ferry crossings. It provides a vital lifeline between the two islands. Without it, the 200 or so residents of Jura would have no access to a high school, a supermarket, or often a place of work. But my ticket has cost more per kilometre than a first-class flight to New York. Island living is not cheap. It's not often you see a summer's day like this in the Hebrides, so I'm heading off on foot. Jura's wilderness has led some to believe it could be the mysterious Isle of Hinba, described in an ancient account as St. Columba's personal retreat away from his Iona monastery. Here, it is said, he spent time as a hermit to be closer to God. On the southeast coast is an area still entwined with the stories of the early saints. Local tradition has it that Columba's uncle, St. Ernadil, chose to be buried here, rather than his native island. I've come to meet with Sheena, an elder of the island's only church, to get a sense of how Jura's landscape can still inspire faith.
What a beautiful morning.
It's lovely, isn't it? It's so nice just to be able to walk along the beach like this and just really enjoy it.
How long have you lived on Jura?
5 years now, but my grandmother was from Jura originally, so Jura's always been part of my life. It's from when I was a child.
Sometimes I go to places where I just feel a connection. Do you recognise that?
Yeah, I think Jura's one of those places where I think it's easier for people to find that spiritual connection. I believe we've all got that. We've all got that spiritual element to us, and that need to connect with something greater than ourselves. I mean, come on, you look around here, and how can you believe all this happened by chance? How can you not believe that there is something greater that created all of this?
I still find it hard to put my finger on what that is.
It's something, as you say, it's intangible. How do you grasp it? I don't know. But I just know that I can walk along the beach and feel the presence of God. I know that I can walk in the hills and feel the presence of God. I know that I can walk in a town and feel the presence of God as well. Mm-hmm. It's not restricted to these places, but somehow it's easier for me to connect in a place like this.
A little further down the road is Jura's last remaining church. Sheena has led the services here for the past 5 years, while a new minister's been sought. As on many remote islands, finding church staff can be difficult. Though its congregation is small, barely reaching double figures, this place holds an important role in community life.
There's a plaque on the wall there that says that this church has been used continuously for 200 years.
Yeah.
More than 200 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty astonishing on a little island.
It is, yes. And there have been other churches on the island, but this is the only remaining one. The church is very much part of the community in that, although people don't come regularly, we can say to people, you know, actually, would you come along and do a reading? Would you come along and do this? Would you come along and do that? And they might not be regular church members, but because it's the church in the community, they'll come and be part of it.
I'm wondering whether you worry about a declining congregation, declining importance of the church.
I think it's about the church saying, okay, you know, we do still have a relevance, and we are important, and that's recognised by people when they reach crisis point. There is a sense of the church is there and able to help and able to support. There is this sense of spirituality that people are looking for something faith is about a relationship with God, and it's about relationship with other people. You know, the Bible tells us, love God, love your neighbour as yourself. That's the basis of community.
From my travels across Scotland's islands, I've come to understand how important this sense of community is to islanders. But now I'm curious about what might lure people to live in a place isolated from a community or neighbours. So I'm heading north to one of the most remote and least visited parts of Jura. Soon, I'm alone.
So close to Islay, but so different. I shouldn't be surprised at how every island is so incredibly distinctive, but this is often described as the Wilderness Isle. Look at this. Famous Paps of Jura over there, with all that stone and scree going down it. Imagine what this must have looked like, with heavy cloud tumbling off the mountains. You know, this is a pretty dramatic landscape. This is my kind of landscape.
It's a landscape steeped in myth and legend. Columba himself is traditionally said to have had the power of prophecy, being able to see both the present and the future in the same instant. Nearly 1400 years later, someone whom many consider a modern-day prophet would be lured by the island too. It's on Jura that George Orwell wrote his infamous vision of the future, 1984. I'm walking part of the way to the house where Orwell completed his dystopian novel. But this road only goes so far. Eventually, it will turn into nothing more than a dirt track, leaving me 8 miles south of where I want to reach. So I'm hitching a lift the rest of the way by water. Orwell called Jura an unget-atable place, and I know what he meant. After an hour-long boat trip, I get my first glimpse of Barn Hill, Orwell's house. But having admired Orwell's work since my teens, it is certainly worth the effort.
This whole journey for me is a pilgrimage of sorts. A pilgrimage is going to places that are special to you. And that little house up there, for me, is incredibly powerful. I come to islands to write about nature and the power of the wilderness and everything around you, but to write about being spied on and your thoughts listened into, and this awful dystopian vision. I've got so many questions. Sadie, thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Aye.
Cheers.
Orwell's real name was Eric Blair. In 1946, having recently lost his wife Eileen after a routine operation went tragically wrong, Orwell was desperate for a change of scene, somewhere to write his warning to the world against the evils of totalitarian rule.
Wow, look at that for a view. Tell me that wouldn't inspire you as a writer, although it's the age-old question among authors. If the view's too good, it distracts you from your work. Obviously not in Orwell's case.
Orwell and his late wife had recently adopted a son, Richard, and Orwell walked the last 3 miles of the journey to Barn Hill with his infant boy on his shoulders to the house they would live in for the next 3 years. Now 79-year-old Richard Blair is meeting me at his childhood home to tell me a little bit more about his father's time here and his complex relationship with faith.
I imagine, Richard, you must have looked at that view many, many times over your life.
Yes, absolutely. It was just mind-blowing, I think. You're just looking down into infinity, down the Sound of Jura.
Your father is a complete hero of mine. I remember reading 1984 when I must have been 12 or 13 years old. And the thing, Richard, that I think I was more surprised about was in latter years when I found out that this is where he wrote it, with this view out of the corner of his eye.
Looking at that as an inspiration is wonderful, but it's not 1984, is it? It's completely different somehow.
Some think that 1984 was inspired by Orwell having witnessed the rise of fascism in the 1930s, the horrors of Stalinism, and the oppressive propaganda and rationing of wartime Britain. What Jura represented was an escape, an idyll where he and his boy could be free.
How much do you remember from that period? Because you must have been very young.
I was very young, yeah. I do remember several things that I do remember. These sort of things that stick in your mind. We were self-sufficient. We actually ate far better than people in London. We had our rations, but we had rabbits, we had vegetables, we had lobsters, crabs, fish from the sea. Occasionally we would get a lump of venison from the estate. So I think in a simple way we lived extremely well. And it was quite a jolly time, really, I guess.
1984's prophecy of a soulless future often sees Orwell perceived as an atheist. But within its pages, the author hints how those living the most simple lives have the freedom of faith.
Richard, I'm wondering about your father and what his relationship with faith was.
My father, as you read his books, appeared not to have any particular or slightly anti-religion. In fact, of course, he was brought up in the Church of England, baptized. But on very few occasions did he go to church. And interestingly, he never really kind of criticized the church, or not particularly. But when he died, he said, I want to be buried according to the rites of the English church. So even in death, he wanted to be involved with the church in the sense of that's how he wanted to be buried.
What a spot. Does this inspire you?
I just love it. It's just, this is my spiritual home. I mean, look at it. There's not a sound going on apart from the birds. You've got to be inspired by it, haven't you?
"1984 was Orwell's final work. While he wrote it, he was suffering from tuberculosis, a condition that would eventually kill him. But here on Jura, despite working to warn the world of a dystopian future, he found peace.
It's like a literary pilgrimage to go to Barn Hill for me, having read that book and been so horrified by this vision of what the future would be like in 1984. Now we're actually living it. And I can't help but think for Orwell, in that beautiful house overlooking that magnificent view, that everything almost got exaggerated. His memories, his image of the mainland and the system, it becomes a monster. You know, I think he got a huge kick out of just how isolated this was. And I feel sure that was his inspiration.
As the evening draws in, I'm beginning to feel that sense of remoteness that not only inspired Orwell, but that gave the monks who lived here 1400 years ago the ability to feel closer to God. I wonder what I might feel here. A simple hut atop the hill, a mile's walk from Orwell's house, will be my bed for the night.
Goodness me. This humid, hot Scottish summer's day. I mean, what a location. Just me in the wilderness. That's how I like it.
The camera crew are leaving me to spend some time alone. Having now come this far, I want to see if I can reach the very top of the island. It's a bit midgy, but if there's one thing I know about midges, it's that your only chance is to outrun them.
This is my mindfulness. To run in the wilderness on a faraway island. Oh man. This is a beautiful world in which we live. Tell me you're not moved with me. I'm alone. Just me and 10 billion Scottish midges. That's the Gulf of Corryvreckan. This is the moment I really think about those early pilgrims. Because let's be honest, this is my pilgrimage. I know it's not contemporary, but I've just sweated. And this is my reward. It's enough to move you to tears, to be honest.
Today has been unforgettable. This is an island I'll be sad to leave. I started my journey wondering about that adventurous spirit which drove the missionaries forward into unknown waters. Now, I want to experience it for myself. I'm venturing north to the most dangerous stretch of water they would have crossed, as they searched for refuge and a new foothold from which to spread their faith. The Gulf of Corryvreckan is home to a notorious whirlpool, the third largest in the world. A pre-Christian Celtic myth has it that this powerful maelstrom is where Cael Yak Beara, the Hag of Winter, washes her great cloak in the churning waters. When it emerges white and clean, she drapes it over the land to bring Scotland its first snow. St. Columba knew of the dangers of Corryvreckan, believing that God had created it to make seafarers pray harder.
When you've been at sea for a period of time, you start noticing the tiniest nuance in the change of the ocean around you, and this, quite frankly, would be terrifying. What you have to remember is that, you know, those monks were in these little skin-lined boats with a basic willow frame. I know it looked pretty benign, but the boat is spinning around now, and it's that fear of the unknown. Is there a great creature below, sucking the water around? That's what keeps coming back into my mind, the unknown, and that bravery that they had. These were true adventurers. They would have carried on despite the fear and despite the unknown, because their faith reassured them that they were going to be okay.
In the 6th century, more than 20 years before Columbus set sail for Iona, St. Brendan and a band of followers navigated these turbulent waters, not on a missionary route to spread Christianity, but rather a personal mythical quest to find an Isle of Paradise. What they found were these billion-year-old shards of rock jutting from the ocean. This is the uninhabited chain of isles called the Garvilax. I'm heading for a place St. Brendan landed, Isla Canieve, or Isle of the Saint. It may be calm, but there's a big swell. With no proper landing structure on these jagged rocks, the skilled boatman, Sandy, has to jump ashore quickly and hold the boat steady.
Here we go. You've done that a few times before?
Yeah, once or twice, once or twice. I just pull in a bit closer before you make the leap of faith, as they say.
Happy for me to come ashore?
Yeah. You just dive into line
Okay.
bunch of the rocks.
You will come back for me, won't you?
I promise.
Promise? Look me in the eye.
It's been 3 centuries since anyone lived here, and even today, very few people ever make this long journey to visit. So, I have the island all to myself.
I'm trying to imagine those early explorers arriving here in a boat made of animal skins. And I'm now trying to imagine that they have just endured huge storms, terrifying seas, monsters, whirlpools, and now they've reached this. And remember, they're looking for heaven. It's all relative, isn't it? When you've just endured hell, anywhere's going to be better than that.
Having chosen this island on which to settle, they needed all their survival skills to feed and sustain themselves. Incredibly, the stone shelters they built still stand today, having withstood 1,400 harsh Scottish winters.
My first glimpse of the monk's cell.
It's believed they could be the oldest standing Christian buildings in Britain. They might look primitive, but they are a marvel of engineering.
Wow. They were proper artisans and engineers to trust that in big storms, the weight of the rock. You wouldn't want that to collapse on you. So they think maybe 2 monks would have lived in here. Wow, that's living on top of one another. What would they have talked about? Would they have talked? You're so isolated. The only thing you can do is connect with something else. And in this case, it was God, wasn't it?
St. Brendan and the first missionaries made a larger settlement to become a seat of learning. A monastery was founded, though only these ruins remain. They lived solitary lives for most of the year, but when weather allowed, they would receive faithful visitors. The most famous of them all, St. Columba, was drawn here too. He clearly considered it a very special place. Poignantly, this gravesite is believed to be where he buried his mother, Enya.
What a spot. I suppose if you're going to
bury your mother, you want to give her the greatest view on the island. Slightly sheltered over here. What a view.
This sacred island was clearly of deep personal as well as spiritual importance to those who ventured here. It's been a revelation to discover this very human side of the holy people, whose journey I've been following.
I find this kind of island particularly moving. And maybe because there's something, maybe I'm searching for something. And maybe that's where I can relate to some of those early Christian pilgrims. They were hardy men. Imagine, you know, they are a cross between, you know, someone who is so driven by their passion for God and the toughest bloke you've ever met. And that's a really weird, unusual mix.
My journey through these Hebridean islands has been a surprisingly personal pilgrimage. I've connected deeply with the island of Jura, the home of my boyhood hero. And I've found a common ground with those missionary adventurers who risked so much for their faith. But here, on Islay and Niamh, I've found somewhere truly special.
You may be wondering, as someone who isn't religious, how I define a sacred place then. I may be sitting on the edge of Columba's mum's grave. I've just explored the beehive cells where monks lived and endured, ready to spread Christianity all across Scotland. So in that sense, this is a very powerful sacred isle. I feel a calmness and a beauty and a remoteness and a tranquility here. And that, for me, means it is a sacred place.
Join me again when I'll be continuing the journey, exploring faith and spirituality in this extraordinary part of the world.
Look at this place.
Discovering awe-inspiring landscapes.
The sea is alive, isn't it?
It is.
And meeting people who inspire me.
It touches a nerve inside me, my heart. I just love it.
How are people connecting with special and sacred places? To find out more and to watch my exclusive interview with the Open University, go to bbc.co.uk/Sacred Islands and follow the links to the Open University.
Providing for their young while keeping them safe, David Attenborough's new series Parenthood continues tonight at 7:20. And New to Sounds explore the challenging role of the hero throughout history with Rory Stewart. Download the app to listen now.